you had the Dutch Empire, you had the Habsburg Spanish Empire, you had the British Empire, and we have the US Empire for the last many generations. All of those currencies, all of those countries, all of those empires ended because of overextended wars, overextended debt, and debased currency, without exception. The US is no exception to that. But it wasn't the end of the UK. It was just the end of the British Empire. It wasn't the end of Spain. It was just the end of that empire. It wasn't the end of the Netherlands. It was just the end of that currency and that Dutch empire. Things change. There are fourth turnings. Empires live about 250 years, which is ironically where we're at. America's changing. It's not dying. And this market is volatile. It is a bug looking for a windshield. Will this be it? I don't know. Other things I look at, but I do know that the only way out of a debt crisis for us is more debt paid for by mouse click money, which is inherently inflationary, inherently currency debasing. Again, true in every empire's decline. And that explains why gold is rising at such a systemic level, because gold is doing one thing very well. It's holding its value. And gold is in a bull market because fiat money in general and the US dollar is in a clear, undeniably debt-driven bear market. And so gold only has one secular direction, not that it goes up on a straight line. It's very clear why gold is rising. It's not just because US treasuries and US dollars and other fiat money is becoming more and more pathetic. The US dollar has lost 99% of its purchasing power measured against gold since 1971. Gold wasn't doing anything. The dollar was just getting weaker. And that's why the BIS has made gold a tier one asset. No one talks about it. A tier one asset alongside the US Treasury. It's a far better strategic reserve asset than US Treasuries. That's why central banks have been net stacking gold and net dumping US Treasuries since 2014. And since 2022, when we weaponized the dollar, central banks have effectively tripled their gold buying in just the last few years. You don't need to be a gold bug to see the direction of the hockey puck here. Gold is replacing the US Treasury as a settlement asset, as a savings asset, as a tier one strategic reserve asset. That should not be the apologies of a gold executive in Switzerland or me selling my book. That should be very clear to any listener, that this crisis in the Treasury and the sovereign bonds, this crisis in the currency, this unloved, distrusted US Treasury is a crisis of debt, which is a crisis of credit and a crisis of liquidity. From my opening point, it's all tied together, and every string we pull on, whether it's tariffs, whether it's Doge, whether it's Greenland, whether it's Panama, whether it's the BRICS, everything is tied to this simple fact of a credit liquidity crisis, which is a derivative of a debt crisis.